Hi folks, it's John from lastchanceautorestore.com. I'd like to share with you another update. This is the 1989 Toyota MR2, or as I like to call it, the Mr. 2. Basically, we've done a lot of work. There's been a ton of progress on this car. And what I'll do is we'll share with you the quarter panels and the tub work and just explain it in a moment. What I'd like to do is this is basically an introduction. So I've got a whole bunch of pictures that we've taken because we removed the rotted quarter panels and damaged quarter panels off. A lot of repair to the inner panels. So what I'll do is we'll just cut away here. We'll just pause for a moment and then we'll share with you a bunch of photos. So it's basically just a slideshow of pictures, and then we'll come back and we'll just briefly walk around. Client lives far away from us, so not only for our client and his family to see, but also just to show you how much work is involved. So we'll be right back. Okay, so now we're back with this Mr. 2, and hopefully it was fairly clear in the pictures. The quarter panel, our client was lucky enough to find this. This was one that was on a car. I believe this one was a used one, and the other one was a new that was glued on and then removed. So we got pretty lucky locating a couple of full quarter panels, but it needed quite a bit of work. So essentially what the guys did is there's all kinds of original factory spot welds, and a lot of them they've ground smooth, but you can probably see it in the video. What we want to do is we want to make sure, because of crash standards, you can see the same thing down here on this. So we're on the passenger side. There's numerous spot welds between a reinforcement plate where the door striker is located and the outer quarter panel. You want to make sure, especially structured with a unibody car, we spend a lot of attention to detail, making sure that we weld these pieces the same way the factory did. So Toyota did a lot of research and development in crash standards and how structurally these cars hold up. So we want to make sure that we replicate or do the same thing they did. So you can see, and basically the guys, when they would have removed the original quarter panel, they would have drilled out every single spot weld exactly the way the factory did it. And then you can see where they've done solid welds, and that's exactly the way Toyota would have done it in this generation of MR2s. So they removed the quarter panels, and you saw in the videos, or in the pictures I should say, the rear quarter panel, or the inner tub, was quite rusty in a few sections. They cut out the rotted pieces, made new pieces, fabricated them with their English wheel, welded them in, shaped them, welded them in, and ground them smooth. So then the inner tub was all basically like brand new, and it meets the outer quarter panel exactly the way it should. And then they fit and modified this quarter panel, and then made sure everything fit right. And they've pre-hung the doors, and then you can see on this back part where we have the trunk lid on, there's still some minor adjustments that need to be done, but same thing with the factory, just exactly the way the factory welded it in is the same way we've done it, with all the same number of spot welds and then solid weld, and then this rear panel in the lower section. So a considerable amount of work. There's quite a bit of body damage to this lower section. So basically they cut that off. Our client was able to find one from a donor car. So we media blasted or sandblasted it to bare metal, and there's a lot of body filler and different kind of product and rocker guard on it. So then once we had that, we measured and marked, drilled all the welds, spot welds out once again, welded in the new one, and then you can see that black, that's a special sealant or adhesive made by 3M. So we use that to help seal that section where the panel was grafted in to this body. And then in the pictures you also did notice the rocker panels. There's extensive work that was done to the rocker panels. These are replacement panels that are stamped quite nice. The shape is off a little tiny bit, but they're a reproduction, and a pretty decent reproduction. So when the old, same idea, all of the spot welds were drilled out in the same location, it was removed, and in the pictures you saw there was a lot of rotted sections on the inner panel, the rocker panel on the inside. So that was all cut out. New pieces were fabricated here by hand, welded in and all structurally sound, and then the guys installed the outer rocker panel, and then the rear quarter panels fitted because the factory fits the quarter over top of the rocker panel, and we've done the very same thing. And then we just pre-hung the door, and you can see where we've got nice gaps, and the molding lines are exactly where they should be. There's still going to be an adjustment on the door, but that'll be done once we get the fenders on. One thing you didn't see photos of, I don't think I added the pictures, but we'll have photos to share with you later. This is the inner wheel well on the passenger side, and that was all rotted through. So basically they made two separate patches, I think 3 in total, and then they cut all the rod out, removed the undercoating, made new panels, reconstructed that lip, which is the same step down that the factory did, and then replicated all of the spot welds in the same location. So now we have all new metal in this inner wheel well. And then you can see here we still have some repair to do. We've got some peekaboo holes here. So essentially what we'll do is same deal. We'll cut that out, we'll make new pockets for it, weld that in, and then everything will be brand new metal on this passenger side. And then what we'll do is we'll come over to the driver's side. We'll ignore this for now, that'll be our next step. Excuse me, and then we did the same thing to this driver's side. So this is it was a new quarter panel from Toyota that was installed on another car, and then it was that project canceled. So they basically cut off this panel and unglued it from that car, and we were able to use this one. So There was quite a bit of damage, just they were kind of rough when they took it off, but we were able to hammer and dolly most of the shape back on this top portion. It was a little bit shorter than it should have been, but we were able to add a little piece to it, and once that's welded in here, as you see, there'll be no evidence or anything that we're going to rely on body filler. And then same idea where we've done the rocker panel on this driver's side. I think there was some in the little slideshow that we shared with you. Same idea as the passenger side. The outer rocker panel is drilled out. I think if the camera person comes down this way, I'll open the door. So same thing as the passenger side. So they drilled out all the correct spot welds, took the outer rocker panel off, exposed a bunch of rust on the inside. They cut out the rusted sections, fabricated new steel, welded it in, and then we used a zinc weld-through primer to protect it. So all of the bare metal and all the repairs have a weld-through primer. So it's all zinc coated. Same thing with the back of the new rocker panel, it's zinc coated. And then when they go to install them and weld, it doesn't burn away, it keeps it protected. And then you can see where they've welded that all in place exactly where the factory did. And then same thing on this intersection. On the driver's side, you can see all the factory spot welds they had. They welded them back in the same locations. And then you have the quarter panel overlapping the rocker panel exactly the way the factory did. So lots and lots of progress. This doesn't look like much, but this is weeks of work. And we still have to adjust this door a little bit. They just basically pre-hang the doors. They take a lot of measurements to make sure the quarter panel is in the correct location. In an earlier video, especially on this side, someone had done a repair on it and ruined the quarter panel. So back in here, where I can share with you, so on the other one, they just had it glued and a couple of pieces of fiberglass holding it in. And you can see now we've got, once again, the original factory spot welds the way they should be. And then this overlap fits into this lip exactly the way Toyota did it. And then same thing with this rear panel, where this filler panel meets the quarter panel. They're joined in the proper locations. And it's fully, very, very strong now compared to what it was before. It was very flimsy. If there was ever a rear end collision in that previous repair, it wouldn't have worked out very well, I don't think, overall. So the fit and the gaps are really nice. If you look up on this side, this is just dry fitted on quick, but you can see the gap is quite nice. There's a tad bit of overhang here, which they'll do fine adjusting on, but the lines and all the body lines are exactly where they should be. And we know that this quarter panel on both sides is exactly to the shape it should be with the body. So lots of progress here. So our next step, as I showed you at the front on the passenger side lower rocker, we have to repair the pocket. We're going to do the same thing on this side. We've got some rod in here that the fender is going to overlap on. But lots of progress. So this is the Toyota MR2. And I thank you for watching. I'm John from lastchanceautorestore.com.